But there's a but doctor, there's a criticism that homeopathy, the rate at which homeopathy acts is very slow. Why is it, and could you elaborate on that?
We'll take for example of diabetes. Okay, what happens in diabetes is maximum patients are suffering with type 2 diabetes. There are different types in diabetes, among which type 2 is one of the most prominent type. 95% of people suffering with diabetes are type 2 diabetic patients.
What exactly is type 2 diabetes?
So what exactly is type 2 diabetes is? The glucose metabolism is disturbed, in short. Now why it is disturbed? Because there is insulin which is produced in the body and it helps in glucose metabolism. Now what happens because of the lifestyle of the patient, the stress with which the patient is going through, this usage of insulin is disturbed. It is not stopped totally. The production of insulin is not totally stopped in the body of the patient. It is being produced, but either in a lesser quantity, or insulin resistance is being developed in the body. That is, the body is not realizing how to use the insulin produced. And then what he does, he starts taking medicines, or once the disease progresses, it keeps on progressing, he starts taking insulin also. So what the body realizes is, see, I'm already having sufficient insulin, I'm getting it from outside. So why does the body need to produce insulin anymore? So the insulin which is being produced also stops being produced in the body. Okay. And the patient has to take the medicines lifetime. So okay. Type 2 diabetes, where insulin was being produced but not utilized by the body, is converted into type 1 diabetes, where insulin is not at all produced in the body. So we are not curing the patient over here, but we are increasing the suffering of the patient. And the patient has to use the medicines for a lifetime. Likewise, many chronic diseases, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, insomnia, all these, many people suffer with them for a lifetime, taking medications, life modifying drugs. But what homeopathy is doing is, now these are chronic diseases. We are treating the patients, reversing the diabetes in a span of 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years. Here the disease is totally going out of the body in a span of 1 year, 1.5 years. Now this might look like a long period for many, but suffering with a disease for 1 year, 1.5 years is better, or suffering with a disease for a lifetime is better? You tell me.
And definitely for a shorter period.
So
for a shorter period in the longer run.
If I may a shorter period in the longer run, we are reversing the disease, making the patient healthy, restoring health in that patient, and the patient lives the rest of the life like that. So there are two types of diseases. One is acute disease, one is chronic disease. What are acute diseases? These diseases come suddenly like a storm, go away like a storm from our body, either curing or taking the patient away. That is, it might cause death also, like we've seen in COVID. It was an acute disease. The disease was staying for 7 days in the body of the patient, and then either taking the patient away or leaving the body of the patient. So in acute conditions, like I had discussed my own childhood, when I was treated with typhoid within 2 days with homeopathy medicines, that is much faster, right? In chronic cases, it takes time, but takes out the disease from the body, restoring health. So when it comes to acute diseases, many people might not have experienced homeopathy. That is the reason they feel that homeopathy is a bit slow. In chronic cases, they've experienced, but it takes time to remove a chronic disease. The disease which has been there in the body for 5 years, 20 years, 30 years will definitely take some time to come out of the body totally. And that is why there is a myth regarding homeopathy that it is slow.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.